I'm going to get this video out of the way. It's your boy NaptownBorn coming back at you. I'm going to get my Roy Jones Jr. video out of the way right now before the fight happens, because there are a few things that I would personally just like to say. First and foremost, who is really going to give Hopkins the credit that he thinks he deserves for taking this fight? I mean, the way I see it, the only man that can really come out on top is Roy, if Roy could manage to win or even give a good fight. They would say, hey, Roy showed some semblance of what he used to have. Roy showed up a little bit more. Roy came back a little bit. But for Bernard Hopkins, what are they going to say if he dominates Roy? Does anybody really think he's going to get redemption out of this fight? Really? They fought back when they were both younger. Back when they were both, not old and skilled and everything. And Roy won. I mean, it's time to give up the ghost. Roy won in their primes. Roy won. I mean, and another thing, I just cannot understand the Roy Jones hate that goes around. I know I was pissed off after the Danny Green fight. A lot of people were pissed off after the Danny Green fight. But looking at it now and listening to the interviews, maybe his hands were wrapped wrong, maybe not, but it really doesn't matter. The Roy that we watch now, no matter what you say about Roy Jones now, no matter what you think about Roy Jones right now, none of that matters. Because the way we all need to remember Roy is when Roy dominated everybody. Back when Roy was good. When Roy was good, nobody could beat him. Not even Hopkins. When Roy was good. Now they're both old. And yes, Hopkins has aged much better. But let me just say this. If, by some freak of nature chance, Roy actually shows up with his legs in this fight, and I'm quoting Khabib because I think Joe Khabib's right on this. Roy's style always relied on his athleticism, particularly his legs, his movement. His hand speed was there, but that was to complement the way he moved. He doesn't do that anymore. But if he did that in this fight, it would be much, much tougher than what people would give him credit for. It would be a much tougher fight for Hopkins. That being said, I'm not doing a prediction. I'm not redoing it all. I just wanted to point out some of those things. Take the biggest highlight reel you can find of Roy Jones Jr. in his prime. The things he used to do to people. When he fucking put his whole body on the ropes, put his hands behind his back, and just moved from side to side, hoping people, trying to get people to try and throw a punch at him, and then owning them. When he backed himself into a corner and then beat his chest, telling people to come on, because he knew they couldn't fuck with him. Put those highlight reels up against any of the all-time greats that people are talking about today. Put those highlight reels against Mayweather's fights. Mayweather is dominated, and for good reason, whatever. At the lower weights, he's dominated people. But put those fights, those highlight reels, up against Roy's. It's almost as if Roy didn't have to even try sometimes. He was just that good. Yes, this is a video about how good Roy is, because people forget how good Roy was, and I just feel the need to remind some people. Roy, in my book, is one of the all-time greats. Much better with the way he did people, the way he destroyed people, the way he took on opponents as he went up in weight, and big guys at that. I mean, he got a fucking heavyweight belt. So come on. Come on. It's a little bit more impressive. You know what I mean? But take his fights and put him up against any number of good boxers or any number of the all-time greats, and he belongs up there. Hopkins does too. They're both, future Hall of Famers. But Roy, with this flashy style, with the way he embarrassed people, deserves to be getting a little bit more respect than what he gets around here. So, like I said, take your favorite Mayweather highlight reel, put it against somebody else's favorite Roy Jones highlight reel, and see which one was more impressive. That's all I'm saying. Just remember the people as they were at their best. You know, like Mike Tyson. Remember him knocking everybody out. Bernard Hopkins, the executioner. He has aged quite well, but he is now coming down. But remember what he did to Tarver, even in his old age. I mean, you got to remember the best moments of boxers' careers to understand how good they were in their primes. And Roy, in his prime, was way better than Hopkins at Hopkins' best. And that's just the way it is. This is NaptownBorn. Deuces.